visionaries, and welcome to our channel. This is Raquel of Raquel and Davidian Unleash Your Genius, and in this video we're going to be talking about the human design perspective, I should say Raquel Reyna's perspective of 2020 to 2027 mutation based on human design. Welcome, everyone. The 2027 mutation, the times they are a-changing. And the reason I put 2020 is because actually the time of recording this video is right before 2020. However, this video is really going to be about the 2027 mutation, and 2020 is really just the beginning or the starting point of all of these changes that we're going to be seeing over the next decade. And we're already seeing it now, so it's very interesting, very insightful. And I do want to let you know that I have a totally different perspective than Ra Uru, who was the founder of Human Design. I am going to read something before I get started from Richard Rudd, who also had a very similar perspective as I about Ra Uru, the founder of Human Design. And I'm going to just take 1 second to read this to you so you can understand my perspective as well. So Davidian brought me this very interesting conversation that he found by Richard Rudd and one of his students, and he brought it to me saying that, wow, look, Richard Rudd says exactly the same thing as you do about the way in which Ra talks about the 2027. And I've recently had a lot of people very confused on what is happening in this mutation. And so Richard Rudd said, I have to say that whenever Ra spoke of anything futuristic or spiritual, I felt his frequency was off. And this is exactly how I feel as well. I see Ra as an amazing person who brought down this human design intel that is so powerful and interesting. And yet he's not perfect. He was a human. And the area where I felt he was the most off is when he talks about this 2027 mutation. And I think a lot of people who are talking about it are regurgitating what Ra has said. And Ra is a nihilist. Ra sees the worst in situations. And he also, in his variable, he has 3 left and 1 right. Whereas Richard Rudd is the exact opposite. So the resonance was coming across from a very different perspective, and Davidian and I are both the same as well. We're the exact opposite with 3 right and only 1 left. And so Ra always had a bias through his left, a left bias. And so he was disparaging of, things spiritual and things that were more of a positive or a visionary type of perspective. And so I'm going to bring you this information from a different perspective. And of course, no one really knows exactly how things are going to go down. I'm not going to say how they're going to go down. I'm just going to say what I see in the rave charts. And then, of course, you can make your own interpretation of what you think. Let's go ahead and dive in. The most important aspect of this time is we're all awakening to the highest expression of self. And if you don't, you might go a little nuts. This is what many different spiritual philosophies say, is that we are moving to higher and higher expressions of self, more evolved expressions of self. And you will see this in a lot of spiritual teachings. So from this perspective, the global consciousness we all share in one collective field, or it can be referred to in human design as the human epoch, the collective consciousness that impacts all of humanity, and it moves in a 400-year cycle. The last cycle we're moving from is the age of planning. And then the cycle that we're moving to is the era of the individual. So let me break this down for you because it's so fascinating and might explain why you are drawn to human design at this time. It'll also help you realize why it's so important to operate as your true self. Also, why you might notice people running around in a lot of frustration that they're frustrated, they're bitter, they're angry, disappointed, confused on what is correct for them. We see this happening all over the place with a lot of people in their lives, and through in if you watch the news and you watch what's going on, you can see this with a lot of different groups of people. So we're going to talk about the age of planning, and we're going to talk about the era of the individual. The last cycle we're moving away from is the age of planning. Now, in the age of planning, we saw this from 1615 to 2026, but obviously that's 400 years. So we're going to already see, as we move into 2020, we're going to already see these shifts starting to happen. So the age of planning was a time when we were super run and comfortable in the tribe. Now, when I say tribe, that means the families, the countries, the governments, the banking institutions. When I say tribe, it means that people wanted to be part of a tribe and felt super happy and comfortable there, right? In their companies too. And so we're also going to see in this age of planning, we had the creation of industries, we had the banks that were formed, agricultures, schools and universities, huge hospitals, large government. There were organizations, corporations, the systems of power based on skills and talent. We learned that if we worked our whole life and our career, we didn't really have to love it. We just needed to pay the bills and then retire and live well and enjoy your family and, enjoy um, climbing the corporate ladder. There was a belief that you should sacrifice the self for the good of the tribe, the country, the family, or the corporation. You see this all over in all of these industries, that people would sacrifice the good of themselves for what they felt was the greater good for these institutions. The trust that was there in working hard within the power structure and in big industry and, of course, in government. Because the aura mechanics are not going to be in place come 2027, we're already seeing the breakdown of the bigger industries, governments, the schools, the hospitals, and we see people losing trust and becoming disillusioned with all of these organizations. So what you're doing is you're seeing a precursor of what is to come as we move towards 2027 and we move into this new expression. So the signs of this are the mistrust we're having around the government, right? Both sides, whichever side you're on, you see there's corruption, people being bought. There's a disillusion of the corporate model. So you're not seeing people climbing that corporate ladder as often and depending on that their entire career. People are losing pensions and retirement. There's a mistrust of the banking. We saw this a lot with the crash that happened and all of the mortgages that were these balloon mortgages that were just totally corrupt and how they sold them, and everything just fell apart. People are also taking their health into their own hands. So you're losing faith in the medical institutions, in the hospitals, whatever you believe around the hospitals or the vaccines or, how the pharmaceuticals are being handled, whatever your belief is, we do know that on some level nutrition plays a bigger role than doctors are now educated with. And even if you don't believe that, there's a lot of shift towards that with a lot of people. So a lot of people, in other words, do believe that. And a lot of people are taking their health in their own hands. And we see much of the cutting edge in science and healing are sort of on the outskirts, meaning that science isn't keeping up with all of the changes that are happening because there's so much research that is focused on money. It's that the money for research is based on how much they're going to earn as opposed to what is the latest science. So we have a lot of new science coming from people who are on the outskirts. The universities are increasing the student loan debt, creating a culture of debt and a distrust of universities. Also, a lot of people are feeling that universities are not the way to create a positive career for themselves. A lot are just moving into entrepreneurial, especially we see that in Silicon Valley, in the computer industry. A lot of people are dropping out and just starting their own businesses. So there's a distrust and a disillusionment of all the things that university can offer. We're seeing this also with the priests and the gurus being taken down from their throne, and people are going direct to their connection with God. Now, with the priests and the gurus, we're seeing this in all religions, but interestingly, we saw it with the whole Catholic priests and what was happening, how they were, being moved around, and yet they were molesting boys. We also are seeing this with the gurus like John of God. If you haven't seen my video on that, John of God was a guru who was a healer, and he was accused of, molesting all of these women as well, and all kinds of horrible things. But these were big. I mean, he's one of the biggest guru takedowns that there is. And so people are deciding that they want a more direct connection with God. And so a lot of these tribal type organizations, tribal meaning religion, meaning the country, the government, the bank, the families, these are breaking down. And we're becoming disillusioned with how these things are operating in our lives. And we're also seeing, the mistrust of the officials who are making decisions. And you're seeing this a lot with climate change and what's going on with, the young people coming out and saying, look, we want to have a planet, okay, in 50 years. And what you guys are doing is selfish, and it is not for the greater good. So we are not trusting our officials. There's a fall of the 9-to-5 employee, or at least a lifetime 9-to-5 employee, right? People are working, in different types of careers, changing careers, finding different ways to make money, having side hustles, all these things. And then there's the fake news. News agencies were once really relied upon for our information, and now we just do not trust the news. And it's all, we have no idea. It's a crapshoot what we're going to get. And we have to really fall into trusting ourselves and what we believe to know as true, because we are not getting it out there. There's the fall of the Hollywood moguls with the whole Me Too movement, and really going and, behind the veil. We saw that with Harvey Weinstein and the Cosby, who we had this whole persona of being the family guy and preaching about certain types of behavior. And finally, when comedians like, "Methink thou dost protest too much," and he was accused of rape. And so his entire image and the facade just fell. All of these things are examples of what is to come with the aura mechanics falling apart and these tribal institutions not being part of the collective epoch. So not too long ago, finding a career and doing the same thing with your company for your lifetime and having a family and saving for retirement was what everyone did. It was what was expected. And there's not a lot of deviation from that. And if you did, you were a real outsider. You were a real freak. So there are many examples of people also sacrificing the self for the government, the country, the tribe, the family. You see this in business a lot with people sacrificing their health for their careers, large industries sacrificing the grunt worker for the greater increase in the bottom line. You see people sacrificing their lives, obviously, to fight in war. And this type of thinking is going to become outdated. And I know it's very hard to stomach because so many people are still gripping onto this as an important type of value, family value to rest your hat on. But these are the types of things that are moving out of style, so to speak, moving out of the epoch to what is coming. And what is coming is the era of the individual. Now, this is a very different way of being. It's a different way of thinking. And if you're already experiencing some of this, you're not crazy. If you're already feeling, like an outsider, feeling like you didn't fit into a tribe, if you're already experiencing some of this, it's because you have a lot of these traits and probably a lot of individual circuitry to sort of prepare and also to be the example of what is to come. So the era of the individual, 2027, is when it's officially changing the rave chart. However, it's already begun, and in 2020, we're going to see it starting to crack open a little bit more, and each year we're going to move closer and closer towards this era of the individual. And in this era, we're going to see human awakening. That's what this is about, people. It's about a birthing of human awakening, because the only way to awaken is to pull out from the outside matrix, so to speak, and to go and look inside. And this, again, is seen over and over again in all of the mystical teachings. So it's not new, but it's being shown in a different way through this human design chart, which is what I love and what is so interesting. So it's about understanding the self on a deep level. The one-size-fits-all model won't work. The infrastructure of large companies, the governments and industries, they're losing their power. They're losing their grip. Sure, we may still feel powerless to the corruption, but on some level, we're taking our own lives and our own well-being into our own hands. A lot of people are moving off grid. A lot of people are just creating a life they love, not based on what they need from the government. There's this sense that the daddy's going to take care of you syndrome falling apart, and people saying, I am going to take care of myself, and that is happening with the individuals taking care of their own needs, relying on their own abilities to make money and heal themselves. There's a huge movement towards understanding how to heal. And even if you're using Western medicine, you're using pharmaceuticals and chemotherapy, you're also implementing all different types of visualization and healing modalities and meditations, because they have been scientifically proven that when you take your health into your own hands, you're going to see a difference in your healing, right? And there's also there will be a focus on unique individual self-empowerment, awakening, self-actualization, contemplation, the abundance of spirit, and the breakdown of barriers and facades and armor in order to bond and connect with one another. This is so beautiful. And we see this in, when we break out of competition and we move into compassion and co-creation, we see a deeper sense of relationship and love with other people. So, for the era of the individual, people will not be able to look outside of themselves for answers. If they do, they're going to experience confusion. So, think about this, okay? This is so huge. This includes looking for a guru, a priest, a psychic, or even a coach, a business coach. Yes, some coaches know how to help you find answers yourself, and those are the good ones, okay? Because the idea is that radical self-expression will be demanded by the universal force. You will be demanded upon to look inside and find your own way, your own answers. And this will be the only thing that you will be able to rely on. So the days of sacrificing the self for the tribe are over. And remember, there's also this awareness that when you do self-actualize, everyone's happier. Even like if you look at the families, a lot of moms are uh, having careers that are satisfying for them, or self-actualizing, doing their own manifestation. And they're doing this knowing that if they are that example for their families and for their children, they live that example, it's better for their children than if they've sacrificed their well-being and given over all their health to take care of the family and become a martyr and all of that. That does not empower our children to be self-actualized. Okay. So in this era, people will acknowledge the strength of the tribe is built when the individual cares for themselves. Self-actualization will be a primary goal. Right now, it is not. The primary goal is to be the head of the tribe. The primary goal is to win, to make money, to have the biggest house, to have the best car. All of these things are part of what we saw in the era of planning. In the last 400-year cycle, that was a part of racing to the top and needing to win. And this is not going to be what people value anymore. They're going to value self-actualizing. And people will need support in understanding what makes them unique. And that is where this system really comes into in handy, because we need to understand that everyone is different, and you need to look inside and understand how you operate and how you look inside and what's unique for you. Most coaches do not stress this. Business coaches, life coaches, and the self-help industry, they like their clients to be dependent on them and need answers from them and rely on them. So the greatest gift, if you're a coach, that you can give your clients, and if you're a client, you're looking for a great coach, is when a coach assists you and empowers you to go inside, trust your own answers, and they guide you to find your own way to your self-empowerment and to trusting yourself. Because when you know how to find the right direction for you, and according to human design, each person has their own way of finding answers, and everybody is different. Everyone is unique. So you have to find out your unique way of operating, and you want to have people that help you find your own unique way to operate. And so the greatest gift you can also give your clients, if you are a coach, is not mind candy, okay, not more intel, but to inspire people to live fully, to live this intel fully. And that's primarily with the human design. If you just keep getting more and more information, more and more intel, it's like mind candy, and you don't really live it. And once you live it, you come online and you begin to be animated and inspired. It's like plugging in the toaster. All of a sudden the oven heats up, and that's the difference between reading about this and actually putting it for a test drive and living it. And the gift of inner autonomy is the greatest freedom that one could know. And this is going to be of utmost importance when things break down and there's a lot of confusion. No one knows where to go. You can't listen to, the people that you could once trust. All this stuff is going to be, there's going to be a shakedown. And so the era of the individual leads by being themselves. You get to lead as your unique self. And when you allow yourself to follow your strategy and inner authority, then you're going to empower others by being it. And when they step into your aura, they're changed because you're living it. And so you literally get to change other people by being yourself. And that is what the era of the individual is about. You see, everyone is unique. And once you look at your chart, and by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as charts go, I will have a link for you in the notes below this video, so you can get your chart and understand what I'm talking about here. Once you look at it, there's also line numbers, there's also base tone color. So no two charts are the same. So even if you have two manifesting generators, there's going to be base tone color of each gate, so this is called the art of differentiation, and it's the art of being different. And those with the individual circuitry, the individuals are really here to empower others as they live completely as themselves. So they really are here to embody their unique self, and they're not here to be influenced, but they're here to influence other people. And so if you have a lot of individual circuitry, you may already really relate to not fitting into the tribe, maybe not even being respected by your family or understood by your family, or feeling like you don't really fit into the job or the workplace, and you feel like you need to be an entrepreneur, do things your own way. That is the individual circuitry. And you can see here, if you want to pull out your charts, again, if you need your chart, you can go on the link in the notes. But you can see here that if you have any of these lines, and it might be red or black in your chart, but if you have any of these lines here in this particular area here where it says individual circuitry, you're going to feel this even more intensely operating, or any one of these gates here. If you have anything, even a hanging gate, if it's red or black on any one of these lines here in black, you're going to notice this individual tendency where you may not feel understood. There's a little bit of a melancholy to this. This is where people create from, and where they change and mutate and create new ideas and have genius thoughts that no one else can relate to, and they don't know how they know it, they just do. And all of these things come from this individual circuitry. And this has always been really important, just to move the tribe forward. But tribal circuitry has ruled for the last 400 years, and that's what this shift is about, that we are now having a breakdown, and we're going to be moving into this as a collective, meaning the consciousness is going to be supporting this individual expression as opposed to pushing it to the outskirts and sort of just tolerating it. It's going to be really supported. So individual expression, individual growth, self-actualizing. Now, we have no idea what's going to happen really with the governments and with all of the institutions, and no one really knows. And that's where I really differentiate from Ra's belief, where he believed he understood what was going to happen during this shift. And I'm not saying that I know. I have no idea what the banks or what the governments are going to look like in 2027. But what I do sense to be truth is that the individual is going to have a big impact. And if you have individual circuitry, and the fact is everyone is unique, and everyone needs to know how they how their inner GPS system works. And the truth that I feel is that as you understand yourself and rely on yourself and allow for that GPS to move you to what really satisfies you and what really brings you success and satisfaction and peace and awe, right? When you really know your inner GPS and you surrender to that as the direction, you are going to move out of that confusion and feeling like you don't know what is right or what is truth. You're going to know truth, and you're going to know that truth deep inside of you. And this is the power of this time in history, is to pull your energy back. Pull it back from everyone telling you what to do. Pull it back from your parents, from society, from TV, from everything that you've been conditioned with, and go inside and make your own decisions. And human design is a great tool to help guide you to do this. And we are happy to guide you on a deeper level. We have some more videos I'm going to put in the links below. And put links in the notes below. And we have some programs if you're interested, if you want to really integrate this stuff into your lives. We have some great programs to assist you in this process. It does take time. They say it takes up to 7 years to really decondition, but hey, we're moving into 2020 and we've got 7 years till 2027, so it's perfect timing. So if you have a lot of individuality in your chart, and you've probably already seen and already noticed the disillusionment when you look out into the world around you. So again, if you don't know your chart and you want more answers, then we have a link for you to get your chart, and also you'll be on our mailing list for updates, and we will look forward to providing you with more intel. Please, if you like this video, go ahead and give us a like and a share and a shout out, and join our subscribe. And there's a little bell too if you want our current videos. We're going to be putting out more and more videos this year. And also, I just want to share with you guys that we read and try and respond to all of your comments. So please give us feedback on what else you'd like to learn about your uniqueness, and we will try our best to listen to all the comments and make videos based on what it is you guys are interested in. All right, everyone. We hope you have an amazing new year, and we're looking forward to some great, amazing changes as we move towards 2027.